Chapter 1 The Mail Wagon. The child arrived in a mail wagon one late afternoon in early spring. Bill Remmer had been planting rose seedlings all day when she approached, eyes wide and cautious. "Are you Mr. Bill Remmer?" she asked, her precise pronunciation strangely formal. "I am," he replied, brushing dirt from his clothes as he removed his straw hat. The shadow lifted from his weathered face, and the child swallowed hard an expected reaction to his gruff appearance. "And who are you?" "Hello, Uncle Bill, I'm Layla Llewellyn. I came from Lovita." Her clear voice startled him. That explained the odd accent. "You crossed the border alone?" "Yes. I rode the train." She tried to stand taller, forcing a smile. The mailman who had accompanied her stepped forward. "She was wandering by the station. Said she was looking for Bill Remmer, gardener of the Herhart estate. Since I was heading here anyway, I brought her along." He handed Bill a letter worn and hastily sealed. Bill opened it on the spot. A relative from Lovita explained that Layla was now orphaned and, due to financial hardship, they could no longer care for her. If Bill couldn't take her in, she should be placed in an orphanage. Bill's face darkened. "Damned people, they sure let me know fast." The letter felt more like a warning than a request. They'd passed the girl along like unwanted baggage, shipping her to a stranger in another country with only a name and address. "Uncle Bill," Layla spoke softly. "I'm not that young. I'll be 12 soon." Her mature tone caught him off guard. She was small for her age, fragile as a reed, but her pride burned steady in those green eyes. Once the mailman left, silence fell in the garden. Bill rubbed his temples, muttering curses. 20 years had passed since he'd last seen those relatives. And now here was a child, his distant kin, dropped on his doorstep like a stray. She wore threadbare clothes despite the chill and looked half-starved. The only vivid things about her were her golden hair and bright green eyes. Bill felt overwhelmed. He couldn't care for a child, but the thought of sending her to an orphanage twisted something inside him. "Follow me," he said at last, shaking his head. "Let's eat first. I'll decide after." As they walked toward his cabin, her tiny steps began to bounce, just slightly, hope peeking through the cracks. "Is that all you're going to eat?" Bill asked, frowning at the small portion the girl dished onto her plate. "Yes, I only eat a little." "Really?" she replied, smiling. Bill grew slightly more frustrated than he already was. "Listen, kiddo, I hate kids with small appetites." The girl's eyes widened at this harsh comment. He had pulled up her sleeves, exposing her slender wrists to the light shining down from the table lamp. "No matter what, you're starved. You should eat lots, like a cow," he said. His face grew more stern. For a moment she started into space, blinking slowly as she considered his words. Then she took another piece of meat and slice of bread and placed them on her plate, then started sacrificing them voraciously, making it seem like she had been quite hungry after all. "Maybe I can't quite eat like a cow, but I am a good eater, Uncle," she said, smiling at him with her breadcrumb-covered lips. "Yes, I can see that clearly now," he replied, chuckling as he took a sip of liqueur. "Aren't you afraid of me?" he then asked, intentionally making an intense grimace as he looked at her. However, she simply stared right back at him, not flinching or avoiding his gaze for a moment. "Nope," she replied. "You never yelled at me. You gave me all this delicious food. I'm grateful for those things. You seem like a good person." What kind of life she was leaving before this, that such simple things make her grateful, he wondered. These gave him a bitter taste in his mouth, so he stood up and poured himself a large glass of beer. The letter has stated that the girl's mother had run away with another man, abandoning her daughter and her father. Her father had been so distraught by these that he became an alcoholic and ended up dying of alcohol poisoning. After that, the girl has been passed from relative's home to relative's home. Pondering over all this, Bill realized that her life had been far from easy. Even so, he still thought it was out of the question for him to be the one to raise her. As he swigged his beer, decided that he would make his decision by next week. "Did everyone hear? Bill Remmer, the gardener, has started taking care of a young girl." A maid dashed into the lounge where the Herhart servants rested. The room, once filled with idle chatter, turned silent. "A girl? Mr. Remmer?" It'd make more sense if he took in a lion. Everyone chuckled. Bill Remmer, the Herhart family's gardener for 20 years. Bill lived simply gardening, drinking, and retreating to solitude. Was a gruff man known more for his talent with flowers than for kindness. His temper was legendary, yet his skill kept him employed and even favored by the Duchess. Norma Herhart. She adored flowers as much as he did and gave him a secluded cottage behind the manor. After his wife's death, he never remarried, so the idea of him raising a child? Unthinkable. That is, until one of the maids by the window gasped, "Oh my, it's true! Look!" Everyone rushed to the window. Outside, bent over his flower bed, was Bill Remmer, and trailing behind him, a tiny girl with golden braids swaying like a pendulum. When asked, Bill only said, "I haven't decided. I can't leave her anywhere, so I'm thinking." Through spring and into summer, Layla Llewellyn remained, becoming a fixture of the Herhart estate. Her quiet strolls among flowers became a familiar sight. "She's grown," remarked Madame Mona, the chef, watching Layla admire blooms near the forest cottage. "Still small," Bill muttered. "Children aren't like plants, Bill. They don't grow overnight." Mona shook her head and placed a basket on the table. "What's this?" "Leftovers from yesterday's tea party. Cookies and cake. They're for Layla." Bill scowled, but couldn't deny the child was becoming part of life here. Servants had taken to greeting her, bringing food, even visiting her. "You should get her new clothes. That skirt's about to fly off her knees," Mona added. As if on cue, Layla chased a bird and, in a blink, climbed up a tree like a squirrel. "She's good at climbing," Bill said, unbothered. "Bill Remmer, you knew she does that and didn't stop her? How are you raising her?" "As you can see, she's strong and growing. Like a wild beast," Mona cried, storming off. Bill watched silently as Layla perched on a thin branch, studying birds. Over months, her curiosity had become clear, fascinated by flowers, insects, and every corner of the natural world. One night, when she didn't return for dinner, Bill found her by the river, so lost in watching water birds she didn't hear him calling. That was the first time he worried like a father. Later that week, as he walked toward the cottage, "Get ready," Bill said suddenly. "We're going to town. You need new clothes." "Why?" Layla blinked. "The Duke's arriving soon. Can't meet him like that." "The Duke? The owner of this estate?" "Yes. He's on break from school." "Wait, the Duke goes to school? He's 18. Still a kid like you." "What? 18? Bill laughed at her shocked face, brushing a hand through her messy hair. It felt soft like cotton. At the Carlsbad station, a train from the capital had arrived on the platform. The waiting servants made their way to the station's private section. A tall, slender boy descended onto the platform by the time they lined up in a straight line. "Hello, master." All the other servants quickly bowed their heads towards the boy, starting with the butler Hessen's friendly greeting. Matthias replied to their greetings with a light yet silent gesture in a straight and elegant manner. His rosy lips were curved into a smile that was neither too wide nor too stiff. The Herhart's servants didn't start moving until Matthias took a couple of moves. "A carriage?" Matthias smirked as he left the station and spotted a carriage waiting for him. "Ah, yes, master. Madam doesn't believe cars are trustworthy." "I know. For grandmother, cars are nothing more than a hunk of iron that is unbearably vulgar and dangerous. My apologies. Next time." "No, classic things are not bad. Once in a while." Matthias boarded the carriage in a composed manner. Slow but steady movements flowed from his long arms and legs. As it passed through the busy shopping streets and the square, the carriage consistently picked up speed. Matthias' luggage was transported in a separate wagon, which trailed behind the carriage engraved with a golden crest off into the distance.